And what this does is it reflects the VCD UI, because this actually uses the vCloud Director APIs to pull all that information. So you can see provider virtual data centers and then organizational VDCs, right? If I switch over, this is actually the VCD instance. Look, hey, not only does it look the same, but it has the same structure because, hey, we're actually integrated these things completely in the API level. Make sense? So if we take a look and we go back over to vCloud Protector, you can see that we've got provider VDCs and we've also got this data protection policy. When you click on this, you can see these are the policies that have been set up, and again, as we continue to develop this product, you can further customize them and build them. The core idea here that's important is that when you're operating at these cloud scales, which doesn't necessarily mean a huge service provider, it could be any customer, where stuff's happening all the time, you need to have trickle-down policies. So what we said is, let's make those data protection policies, you apply them at the organizational VDC level, and they'll trickle down to any VM that's created within that org VDC. So for example here, we've got an example, the Dinoco example, right? And I'll go into that one in a little more detail. At the provider VDC level, you can see the ones that this provider VDC, which is like a resource pool, is allowed to have. So we've got the classic bronze, silver, and gold, and if you click on it, you can say, hey, here are the two customers, the two tenants, that are using that bronze policy. You can go in and you can customize that policy. You can change the backup process, which is fantastic, right? So you can go and say, yeah, they're going to inherit anything subsequently within this, the VMs, the catalog, items in the catalog that they create, and apply against these. So the example that we thought would be kind of interesting, right, is to take a look at this one customer. So if you click on that one customer, these are their individual vApps. Again, this is linking it to VCD, so it looks the same and it's integrated, which is what people want, makes it simpler. So if we take a look at them, you can see is the policy on or off. What's the policy name? When was the last successful backup? How many backups do we have? And so on and so forth. Right? So if we take a look at one of the individual VMs, you can see that there's been a series of backups here. They've been successful. They occurred very rapidly. You could go and you could change this for the individual VM if you want, but again, it inherits the backup. So backup becomes part of the service layer. It's backup as a service. Right? And here I'm going to go in and say, okay, this individual VM needs something slightly different. We're going to set it up the bronze SQL Server policy, and off it goes. Now, of course, periodically you want to do an on-demand based backup, right? So in the example here, what we did is we said, okay, let's go over and take a look. Here again, we've got our core structure. There's the VM down there. You see the blue one that's running. That's a Windows 2000 VM. And if we go and we take a look, let's say I want to do an on-demand backup. So I'm going to install something, I'm going to patch something, so on and so forth. Again, it's awesome to use the vSphere snapshots for that. It's great to use array integrated snapshots, which GMC totally supports today. And generally, those can augment backup policies. They're not so good when we want to retain it for long periods. So what I just did is I did a backup. It was fast. Why? Change block tracking, source-based debugging, right? I fast forward a little bit in time. We created a blue screen event to say, hey, look, something bad happened. So, obviously what you want to do here is you go back in and say, I want to go back to that earlier point in time, and I want to be able to do a restore, an on-demand restore. And when you go this process, it's going to overwrite that individual VM because we're doing a full VM restore. And again, we're going to leverage all of the great integration we do today around change block tracking, source-based debugging, vCenter integration, VADP, all that stuff. But again, leveraging it here in this multi-tenant cloud backup as a service type model. Does that make sense? See some nodding, some like, okay, all right. If we come back, boom, VM back up and running. Does it make sense? What do you guys think? Is that a good idea? Good idea? Who says yes?